Hey guys, what's going on? It's Coach Will, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build the perfect website for your gym's lead generation. All right, so let's get into it. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because, we do lead generation, growth, mentorship, guidance for gyms, for over 500 gyms currently and growing. Our business has doubled year over year over the last 3 years in the number of gyms that we work with, and we have a very, very high success rate with the gyms we work with. And as part of what we do with the gyms that we work with, we take care of their lead generation funnel and their website and all these different things that help them grow so they don't need to worry about it. And in today's video, I want to show you some of the things that you can do for free to help grow your gym's lead generation and improve its lead generation, because what we found is often a very few simple tricks that you can apply that will make a big difference in the rate of conversion from the traffic you're getting into lead generation, right? So if you're an established gym that's been around for a long time and you've been doing a lot of work to generate, word of mouth, get the word out there, get found on different platforms like Google and social media and different things like that, you probably already have traffic coming into your website. And most often what we find for a lot of gyms is they actually it's not that they have a traffic issue. They're getting plenty of traffic. They're often getting enough traffic based on what we're able to see from their local placement and how they're being found and the different things that they're doing. They're often getting enough traffic. They're just not converting the traffic at the optimal rate. Because if you think about it, you could be getting 1,000 visitors a month on your website, which with our stuff, at the conversion rate that we convert that traffic, that would be more than enough traffic for a gym to generate 100 leads a month organically from from the traffic they're getting. But most gyms are usually converting most of the traffic they're getting at about a 1% conversion rate or less. And it's often because the way their website is built is it's done wrong in a number of ways. And we'll talk about what those ways are first, because that's the first thing we need to understand is what the goal of your website is, right? So a lot of people these days aren't really talking about a website the same way anymore. It's kind of almost like not being talked about at all. When in reality, this is where all the traffic from all the different things that you do on the internet come to. And we forget that, right? People see us on social media and we get lost in the vanity metrics. We get caught up in the likes and the shares and the comments. And we let that give us this false sense of progress and accomplishment in our marketing efforts, right? But meanwhile, there's no actual leads coming in, right? So we'll have gyms that have been doing social media stuff, sharing content, ads, they're ranked well on Google and they're getting no leads. And I see all that activity going on and I know that they're generating traffic. They're just not converting the traffic into the leads. And that's because that traffic ultimately ends up on their website through a number of ways, right? Like on Instagram, when you're doing all this social media stuff, the link in your bio, it generally goes to your website, right? On Facebook, all the things you're doing on Facebook, all the things you're talking about. What do people do when they want to find out more about you? They end up either Googling you after, or they end up going through your profile, clicking on the Learn More button, which goes through to your website. If they find you on Google, so you have a great reputation on Google or Yelp or any of these platforms where you have great reviews, or you've been around a long time and you're ranked near the top for local searches like Gym Near Me, what ends up happening is they end up clicking that profile and they end up clicking the button to go to your website and they land there. And then what happens next is they often just leave your page without taking the next steps. So a couple of those things that we often see with a gym's website is that when they go to the website, well, actually, let's just do a screen share. Let's see if I can pull one up as an example of a gym that we're currently working on their stuff and replacing their old stuff, so I can show you what they might be doing wrong and what we're going to do to improve it. So this is CrossFit Social City. This is a gym owner here that recently just jumped aboard our program, and we're actually actively working on their stuff right now. And when I met with this gym owner, I talked to them about what their current situation is, and I pulled them up on Google here to kind of see, hey, are they being found? Are they getting traffic? Are things like this happening? And what is the problem and why aren't they getting leads? And when I went through their stuff and I pulled them up on Google here and I found that they came up locally. And then I did a local map search here and I found, okay, CrossFit Social City, right? And this gym owner, they've been in business here almost a decade. This is a 9-year-old gym. So if I were to go here to Google and just type in gyms and pull up all the gyms around them, we can see here that there's Orange Theory and some big brands here, and then they're actually ranked right here. So they're ranked 6th or 7th, right? So not bad. There's definitely room for improvement here, but they're not bad. And that tells me that they're getting traffic, especially if someone were to drill down their search to a more specific search for a thing like CrossFit, which is very, very popular. More than likely, they're showing up near the top for those searches. So that tells me they're getting traffic. And also this gym owner, they spend a lot of time doing social media stuff. They've been doing consistent social media posts for years. So they definitely are getting eyeballs and getting attention and a lot of views. And ultimately, when people click on this, what happens is they end up clicking through to their website. And this is their current website here. And when I get here, this is often what I see for a lot of gyms. First, I get here and it starts playing music right away. And then if I click the button it gives right in front of me here, it takes me to a page that is pretty much broken, it looks like. Pretty common thing, right? And if I were to go back and I wonder if there's a way to pause the sound here, just click on how to join here. Well, it looks like a lot of the pages on their website aren't working. Loading slowly, broken text, things like that, you know. And if I were to click on this website here, this is a terrible example because it's just not working at all. But, you know, we see here at the top how to join, book a session. We do see a form here. Just a lot of information. It's kind of just got brain dump of information. If I'm here and the first thing I see is like discover the fun and fitness, doesn't really do a lot for me, then I click book a session, and then it takes me to a page that's to schedule a workout. The problem here right away is like they were asking someone to take a big leap, right? Like if they land on my website and they're not even sure who I am yet, they just found me, they want to know when they're in the right place. It's kind of like dating, right? Like if I just walk up to a girl and be like, hey, you're attractive, let's get married. Like she's going to run as fast as she can the other direction, right? And asking someone to jump in and schedule a workout when they're just trying to take that next step and find more information is very, very similar. It may not feel like that to you as the gym owner because you're not in that position, but it does. It's really just making the subtle ask first, which is just basic information first, right? So, you know, like they're just moving really, really fast there. There's not even really a great call to action here. As we go down the site, big video overtakes the page. It's just, you know, and it's also like, looks like a site that's built about 10 years ago. And this type of website probably would have worked 5 or 10 years ago. And that's because like the internet was different 5 or 10 years ago. 5 or 10 years ago, the people used to spend over a minute on a website, and people used to read blogs. If you guys remember that, people used to actually read blogs. They used to read what is essentially done on YouTube now on websites. Now, average website viewership time is about 18 seconds. So that means you have about 18 seconds from when someone lands on this page before something on their phone distracts them, before they lose interest, before they get frustrated, before they move on. And you might think like they have a choice in the matter, but they don't, because this is how quickly the internet moves, and those time frames are getting shorter and shorter. So we have to move very, very quickly. And we also got to make it very, very easy to take the next step, and it needs to be as frictionless as possible. So you can't be adding clicks to the process, and the page certainly needs to work. So this is an example of a site. You can see it up here in the nav bar. We just have all these things to click on, which, you know, if we think about what our website is really here to do, it's not here to serve our existing customer. It's not here to tell our life story or to be a place to flex. This is really just a place for a person who's interested in joining our business to take the next step. And it needs to be that simple. And like these sites and how he's doing it here, he's got how to join, about us, what we offer, rates, videos, store, all this stuff. The more you make people click off onto this other stuff and read these other pages, like they just click what we offer, and then there's a whole other page full of information that's easily going to consume that 18 seconds of time we have. There's a ton of videos. There's a ton of things, not to mention like what we can't see on the back end. This site lacks some serious like SEO and things that are also keeping it back from like ranking higher on search engines. So, you know, when we build a website for a gym, what we're going to replace it with is something that is going to convert at a very, very high rate. And like another place where gym owners really, really get stuck in, and in fact, most web design companies really get stuck in, is they want to build something pretty, right? And I'm actually a designer. I'm someone that I could consider myself someone with a design eye. I love beautiful cars. I love aesthetics. I love art. And I would love to build websites that are purely for the aesthetic, right? I would love to do that. But here's the thing, is websites that are built purely for aesthetic do so at the expense of the data, right? So at the end of the day, we build websites for gyms, and you should build your website for your gym from a place of data and lead generation first, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's all that matters. If you build the prettiest website in the world with all the images and all this distracting stuff and all these, you know, things that you want to say because it makes you feel good in your own form of expression, but it defies the convention of good lead generation, then you ultimately end up costing yourself the money, the end goal. There's a number of other ways in your business and in your life you can express yourself and your aesthetic and what you want to do there. In your gym's lead generation funnel, it should not be one of those places. There's a set of principles and there's a set of rules that just work, that we stick to, that even a lot of other web design companies whose websites we end up replacing all the time don't follow, because at the end of the day, like, they want it to make them feel good. At the end of the day, it's about making the person viewing the page feel good, which when most people land on a website, the first thing they want to do usually is they're already, you know, today it's not the first time they saw you usually by the time they get to your website. They've already seen you on Google. No one knows to look exactly for your gym's name. Most people don't even know your gym exists. So when they've landed on your website, they've already seen you on Google. They've already seen you on social media. They've already seen you someplace else oftentimes when they get here, that clock starts ticking and it's just really them wanting to get started. So if they click get started, it's not click, 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 4 more times to figure out how to get started. It's click, up pops a form. That form pops up, asks basic information, name, phone number, email, maybe a newer experience. This gym actually had us add a couple things. Normally we just go name, phone number, email, super simple, submit, and then it takes them over to a booking page. And the reason why I want to do that is because if we send someone directly to a booking page, it's kind of like walking up to that girl and just asking for the date. Like first we just got to ask for her number. A simple ask, right? Asking for a number is a whole lot less harmless than saying like, hey, what time do you want to meet for dinner? Even though we haven't even built rapport yet, right? So this is an opportunity to just make that basic ask, and you'll be surprised the amount of lead generation you will see, the improvement we will see in lead generation just by making that first step less of an ask. Now, most people won't even scroll down your website page. We tested the 500 plus websites that we built and run for the gyms to see like we can actually test, like we can actually track like people's like website visits and what they're doing on a website page. Most of them won't even scroll down. It's like 70% of people won't go down below the fold, right? So if you don't have up here a clear call to action and it be frictionless, ultimately people are just going to leave your website page. But if they do happen to scroll down, the first things that we're going to discuss are the pain points, the problem and the solution, right? So like, what are the real pain points of the gym? What do you solve? Like it's, for this gym, it's a CrossFit gym. It's not working out alone, right? It's not feeling lost in the gym. It's having that structure and accountability of programming and coaching. And it's not wasting time, getting in and out in an hour in a very concise amount of time and being very clear about that we know the problem so they understand that we know how to solve it, and then positioning ourselves as the guide on the journey to that destination, right? And then we do logically explain the programs. So we have emotion and we have logic. And then as we go further down the page, we back that up with social proof. So there's a structure and an order of things that makes sense to the person on the page if they happen to go down it, right? Because their brain's looking for information in a certain way. First, the brain is very emotional. It wants to know, can you solve my problem? Then once it knows you can solve your problem, it's like, hey, can you back that up with logic? And then it says, okay, you're saying you can do that, but are other people saying you can do that, right? And as you go down the page further, it literally answers those questions in order. And then right here, this gym had us put a video tour in because that's what they wanted to do. You don't have to do that. And then further down, we show them how easy it is to get started and that they don't need to be fit to do this at your gym. For this particular gym, being a CrossFit gym, one of the common misconceptions and beliefs that they wanted to break with their site was you don't have to be fit to join here. You can start your journey here. So we make that call to action very clear in this section. And with a form right here, it's like, hey, you can start your journey here. You don't have to be fit. As we go down here, a little bit of branding stuff, eat, sleep, train, repeat, letting the person know that this is a place where you're going to work hard and you're going to commit. And then we have like the basic redundant stuff you're going to see on every website down near the bottom of the page. Class schedule, location, map, hours, if they want to drop in because they're from out of town, follow them on social media. And if they get to the bottom of the page here, at this point, we put an FAQ section here because it does a couple things. It lets the search engines know there's a lot of valuable information here. We're going to answer all their questions. So when Google sees that you answer all the person's questions who's searching for an answer, they're more likely to show your website near the top because Google's job is ultimately to show the best results at the top. So if someone types in nearby, what results should I expect to see from CrossFit, and you happen to have on your website a section of your website where it literally answers the question of what results would I expect to see at CrossFit, they're probably going to show your website first, right? Also, if someone gets to the bottom of the page here after seeing all that information, one thing that we know is that like they haven't gotten the answer to their question. We need to make sure all the possible other objections and questions are answered at the bottom of the site so it pushes them over the edge. And then as they go down the page, there's getting started buttons in every section if you notice that. We want to make sure that as they scroll on their mobile device or on their desktop, that ultimately that there's a button there they can click on. They don't have to go very far to find one, or a form right there. And that's because, again, it's all about reducing friction. Nothing is more frustrating when you're on a website and you're reading something, you're like, you can't figure out how to do what's next, how to take the next step. And most people, they're going to go down this page, they're going to see what they're looking for, and they're going to click that get started button. And when they do, up pops a button, up pops the form. They fill this out. It takes them over to an intro page. Now, what we do is we build in the forms and the back end automation and lead generation stuff on this to follow up with this lead and get them into the right text message automation sequences to get them booked to come into the gym, get them into an email newsletter that's pre-built and pre-staged to nurture that lead along, because not everybody who lands on your website is going to buy the first time they see you. It might feel like that now because you get 3 leads a month and all 3 show up and buy. And that's because when you make it that hard for people to opt in, the only leads you get are the ones that will buy because they're willing to tolerate going through that process, right? When you make it easier for people to opt in, you're going to get a whole lot more leads that range from hot to warm to cold, and you have to nurture those leads along. And as you do, you build a bigger, denser pipeline of leads that are ready to buy when the time is right. And as a result, you always have a pipeline of people booking appointments to come into your gym. That's how this thing works. Now, if someone lands on your website here and they go up here and they click pricing, you don't have to do this. Some gyms put a pricing page on their website, but we found the bounce rate on a pricing page on a website is incredibly high. We find that it's like 98% of people that visit a pricing page on a website, that's where they will bounce off the website. Bounce means that they leave and they never come back. And if you think I'm making that up, this is actually data that's backed up by Google Analytics. We have Google Analytics on over 500 websites for gyms, and we've tracked for the gyms that have a pricing page. Some of them want a pricing page. Some of them want to push people away using the pricing as a mechanism to qualify people. But I could tell you often that doesn't work out in their favor, because the conversion rates off of a form like this are very, very high, where you can have the contextual discussion about value and what someone is getting before you lay out a very, very clear menu of pricing in person. That's the best way to do it. For most gyms that we work with, the close rate of the leads when they come in the door and have the discussion around pricing is like 9 out of 10 people. The conversion rate of having the discussion before they're in the door on the website is like 1 out of 100. So you want to invert that information, right? So what we do is we have the lead fill out a pricing form here, and that pricing form puts them in a text message automation that texts them back right away and gives them a range of pricing, right? So what it will do is it will say, hey, so-and-so, and it will call them by their first name, and it's going to say, it's Coach Will over here at, BLG CrossFit, for example. We saw you were checking out our website. We noticed you were looking for some pricing information. Our pricing starts as low as X per class up to $1,000 a month for personal training packages, right? You're giving them some crazy range. And the reason why you're doing that is because you're actually going to change the subject, right? So you're going to acknowledge, answer, and switch the subject. You're going to say, okay, it depends on your goals, because it's true. What they're going to pay for at your gym depends on what their goals are. So what are your goals? Are your goals are you looking to lose weight, gain muscle, increase performance? And then they're going to move that direction with you. They're going to go and have the discussion they should be having, which is about what their goals are, right? Like ideally, if you were going to sell a client to come into your gym, a new member, the discussion you would be having is not about what does it cost. Like before we need to know what something costs, we need to know what the value is of it. And for you, in order to sell them something, you need to know what their goals are. So that's the discussion needs to be, is about their goals, how you address those problems and how you solve it, showing them value. That way, when you give them the price, they understand. Because for most gyms, most group fitness gyms selling $150, $200, $250, $300 a month membership, which is not hard to do. Where they go wrong is in like just assuming that the public knows why it's worth that much, when the public is used to paying $40, $50, $60, $70 a month for a big box Globo Gym style membership. So when you when you do that, when you just say, hey, it's this much, take it or leave it, you're literally avoiding having the conversation that would actually help you build value and get that person in the door. And we will see gyms double and triple their lead gen off of this form alone. And as a result, usually double the total conversion rate of the leads that they're getting in the door in their gym. Makes a huge, huge, huge difference. So we pre-build all that stuff in there with the back-end systems on the website and all that stuff. Now, some of the things you don't see on the website here that we're not going to get into today, but we also build the back-end SEO stuff into the site, because what happens on the front end of the site is important. But if no one's finding the site, then it's not going to convert. It doesn't really matter, because like people, it's like a tree that falls down in the forest and no one's around to hear it. Like, did it really fall? And it's like, you could have the best lead gen stuff in the world, but if you don't have traffic, then there's nothing there to convert, right? So the best way to think about it is like a funnel, right? So it's like a funnel, and like the traffic is what you pour into the top of the funnel. The funnel is the website and everything that happens afterwards, from interest to consideration to conversion, right? Which is a sale for a gym, and then retention, which is them staying long term, right? So it's very, very important that these things be done right, but that also the things that help this website rank well and get in front of more people. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people like are really focused right now on social media, because it's the buzzword. It's the thing that everybody's on every day. We all are spending 4 hours plus on social media. You definitely should be building your gym's presence on social media, and you should be leveraging social media. But the best quality leads that you're going to get for your gym are the ones that find you organically through word of mouth or through an intent-based search. Now, what an intent-based search is when someone's on Google here and they type in the words gym near me. This is someone that's intently looking for a gym, right? And it's kind of like, I don't know, a good example, a good way to put this is like, if you yourself, just put yourself in a consumer's shoes and say there's a flood in your house, and there's a flood in your house because your plumbing is broken. Are you going to go on social media and look for a plumber? No, you're not. You're going to Google it, right? Because you need a plumber right now. and like Google is going to tell you like who the nearest plumber is with good reviews, and it's gonna, because Google's so good at showing what's relevant to everybody, it's gonna show the best options near the top, and it's gonna be based off of the things that we talked about on today's calls, including your relevance, your authority, your reputation, and all these things. And that's why building this stuff the right way, and why we build this stuff the right way for our gyms, is done this way, because it's not just about just the website. That's why I can give you my secrets on the website here, is because like it's not just that alone. It's going to make a difference for you, but it's all these things that collectively that'll put you up at the top of the search and make it so the person that is looking for you the hardest and most intent-based person finds you and converts, right? And it's no different whether you're, say you're looking for, say you need a plumber. Like I said, you're going to Google it and you're going to click one of those top 3 people based on what you see, and you're going to call them and you're going to say, hey, I need my plumbing fixed. Come on down now. If you need an electrician because your electricity is out of your house, same thing, you're going to Google it. And most people will do this faster than they can even think about it. It's almost subconscious now that we just Google what we're looking for. We don't naturally think to go to social media and search for it there, right? Now, it's not a bad idea to be on social media, but that isn't interruption-based advertising. When we go on social media, our intention is not because we're looking to be productive. It's because we're looking to consume. And can we be productive on it? Yes. Do some people use social media for their business? Yes, I do, right? But, when we're scrolling, it's like if it shows up in front of us and puts it on our radar, that's great. It gets us thinking about it, but I'm not necessarily warm when I'm looking for that, right? So if I'm looking for something now and I'm really serious about it, I'm going to Google it, or at least for right now, that's what people are doing. So ideally you show up here. And what we found is the gyms that rank well here for the broader search terms, like gyms near me, those search terms in almost every market get tens, if not hundreds of thousands of hits per month. Like this gym here, CrossFit Die Hard, the site I showed you here, this website here, this gym gets several thousand page lands per month organically, because he is #1 ranked since we built his stuff and put this together for him over about 3 years ago. About 2 years ago, he got #1 for almost every search term related to gyms in his area. And as a result, like he gets, I think at the beginning of the year here, he topped over 100,000 impressions on Google for the searches in his area, right? And even a small percentage of click-through from Google to his website results in thousands of page views per month. So we knew from the get-go that we needed to make sure this converted at a high rate. And if it did, he would grow month over month. And for most of our gyms, that's what we find, is that they will grow, very steadily. If their goal, for most of the gyms that we work with, small gyms, independent brick and mortar, a lot of CrossFit gyms, they're not trying to grow 100 members at once. Their ceiling is maybe 200-300 members max, maybe 400 members if they're a bigger one. And for a lot of them, they don't have the operational capacity to scale it faster than maybe 10 or 20 members per month. And we found that doing this organically will bring in that growth rate, without having to spend a lot of money on ads, without having to, it won't break the systems down too much, and it brings people in at a nice, consistent rate that they can keep, and that allows them to build their business up around that growth rate. And so, with that, you're not having to run, bait and switchy, gimmicky Facebook ads. You're not having to, do something that doesn't feel natural to your business. These are people that are searching for you, because the people that are finding you off of local search and landing on your website are the highest quality leads. Now, one of the things I didn't talk about on this video so far that I do want to just briefly address is like, you're looking at the desktop version of this website, right? Now, I'm showing this to you on a very large display, so it's very, very spread out, and there's a lot of like empty space. Obviously, this is because they're looking at it on my display right here. One thing I didn't talk about is that this site's actually designed for mobile first. So only 15% of the traffic is going to see this version, and it actually converts at a very, very high rate at this version. And at the end of the day, like, you might be looking at it saying like, well, I have seen much better designed websites than this, or much prettier websites than this, and that's great. But I guarantee you that this site will absolutely outconvert them, because we have built much prettier versions of websites too. And we found that like the more you lean into design or over design a site, or trying to make a site too pretty, the more you distract from the conversion rates, because the data has shown that, right? So if you notice on our websites, we don't really, we kind of fade any imagery into the background. We don't really want, what we found is actually sites that are very heavy on imagery, and it's too much about the imagery, like takes away from the content of the page. So like we do put imagery on the pages and all that stuff, but we don't make it bright, loud, right in their face, because also like you never know what the person looking at the page is going to perceive from that imagery. They may see someone smiling in an image, but what if that person doesn't look like them? What if that person, people all have these preconceived subconscious prejudices, and we're not trying to, say like, hey, if you don't look like this person, then you shouldn't work out here. And people do that these days. So really at the end of the day, like, we make it about the content, we make it about them, and we speak to them specifically, and we don't over design, and we build for mobile, because ultimately mobile is where 85% of the traffic is going to come from, is different mobile apps and your mobile browser. And so we design for that first, which is interesting because a lot of web design companies design their stuff on desktop computers because that's where their workstations are. So they build it on desktop and they make it look pretty on desktop, but to the sacrifice and detriment of their conversion rates on mobile, which is where 85% of their traffic is coming from. So it's very, very important that your website be built for mobile first. So we actually design our websites for mobile first, and naturally it's what we call it a responsive design, where like it switches over to one that fits on this desktop very, very well here. But ultimately it's a lean more towards a mobile friendly design first, because that's where most of the traffic is coming from and it has to speak to them there. And that's very, very important. Now, once the website is doing its job and we're getting these optimal conversion rates, the next step becomes follow-up. Because for most gyms, once they are getting steady lead gen, it's all about converting the leads into members, right? And there's a couple stages that have to happen from lead gen to sold. And that is that we have to have good follow-up and get a dialogue going with this lead. And then we have to get them booked to come in the door. Because it's all about getting them booked to come in the door. One of the things we're not trying to do on this page is sell them something, right? Like a lot of people build websites. Another mistake a lot of gyms make is like the whole website is trying to sell them a membership. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to sell them something right now. All we're trying to give them to do is move on the next step of getting more information. And if we do that very, very well, we get a lot more leads. And a lot of those leads are often like very, very warm and ready to have that conversation about what's next, right? And so it's reducing that friction, making sure clear call to action, making sure things are optimized for the different devices and for search engines and things like that, and making sure good follow-up on the back end is occurring afterwards, which is what we build here. Is we have a system on the back end of this called Gymnetics, that when a lead comes in, it adds them to different follow-up sequences based on the form that they filled out and based on whether or not they have booked or not yet. So this keeps you very, very organized in the back end, because once this starts working and the lead gen cranks up, that becomes the next chink in the armor for a lot of gyms. Is they get disorganized, they don't follow up very well, they're using email for follow-up when only 6% of people open emails. You need to be using text message responses and text message marketing in your follow-up, because text messages have an 80+% response rate versus email that has less than a 6% response rate. So if you're getting emails from your current website, that's where your leads are going, and you're not getting back to those till later in the day, you're ultimately killing your lead conversion rates. So we put a system in place that ensures that it has an app on your phone, and then when you have a lead, it's going to let you know you have a lead. And if you're busy coaching a class, it's going to get back to that lead right away and begin that dialogue while you're coaching a class. So when you get done with that class, you can pick up that conversation where it left off and get that lead in the door. It's actually probably going to get most of your leads booked to come in the door, and then all you need to worry about is confirming them, which the system also does, and it enhances your appointment show rates. And this is all part of a big ecosystem, part of the ecosystem that we provide here at Big Little Gyms. We actually are not necessarily, we wouldn't consider ourselves a web design agency. That's not what we do. This is stuff that we give our clients. So if you're a BLG client and you're focused on growing your business, which is what we focus on, is growth and liberating the gym owner from working in the day-to-day of the business and building good systems around things like marketing, sales, operations, fulfillment, finance, all these other strategies that are all collectively, holistically a part of growing a very, very good business. This is the stuff we just give you as part of that. So we don't sell our clients a program that also say, oh, you got to buy a website. Oh, you got to buy lead generation follow-up stuff. Oh, you got to buy SEO stuff. We just give that stuff to our clients because at the end of the day, if we're going to give you a strategy to start driving traffic into the stuff, we got to make sure the stuff that you're driving the traffic into works and converts and meets all the numbers and data and principles of a good lead generation funnel. So we take care of the funnel for you, so you don't need to worry about it. If that's something you are interested in and you want to hand that off to us, which we do, is we just maintain, support, host all this for you. It's like you have a team of people working for you. It's like you have a web development team working for you. You need to change your website. You just put a support ticket in for our team. They take care of it same day, next day. It's done for you. We maintain, support, and host this, do all the SEO stuff, which normally collectively, all the different services that you would need to pay for and buy and hire people to build for this collectively would cost 3 or 4 times X the cost of what it costs to work with us. And we just take care of this whole suite for you, in addition to guidance, coaching calls, strategies. We have entire Facebook ads done for you, included as part of the package that you can basically copy, paste, and deploy and drive traffic into this stuff to generate leads for your business. Because at the end of the day, the principles of business are not different for a gym. For businesses under $1 million in revenue, it is 100% a focus on sales first. And a lot of other companies will try to get you to do things that feel like progress at the expense of actually making progress in your business. Like they'll charge you to do mentorship on how to build SOPs in your business. And SOPs are great. Every business that has grown and has operational issues needs to have SOPs and needs to figure out their operational stuff. But that stuff is 2 or 3 levels above the base level fundamental step of a business under $1 million, which is sales and profit. Sales and profit come first, because at the end of the day, you can't hire and leverage SOPs if you do not generate a profit and generate consistent lead generation and sales. So it's not about selling to sell. It's not about gimmicks. It's not about putting out offers, running ads to offers. And most gurus for gyms, what they want to do is they want to sell you a gimmicky system and tell you it's a business. When at the end of the day, like a gimmicky system that works right now using a bait and switch offer or some sort of the moment thing that sounds super sexy and super, super easy, that's not a business. That is a unsustainable gimmick. That is an income stream. It's not a business, right? A business is something that has repetitive, reliable, sustainable systems that work today and tomorrow, no matter what you do on top of it. And all those things, all those gimmicky things too, if you choose to do them, they all work better when you have good systems in place like this. So if you want to work with us, you want more information like this, you want to be able to work with an expert like me and have access to someone like myself to make sure you are making the right decisions in how you grow, maintain, and support your business and put pillars underneath it so you can move from being self-employed to an actual business owner. Then go to biglittlegyms.com, fill out the form. On the first page, you'll see a get started button. You'll see a nice clear call to action right at the top, like you see on this page right here. You'll click that button and up will pop a form, name, phone number, email. Super, super simple next steps. We'll talk from there, see if it makes sense. If it makes sense, we'll book a discovery call. We'll talk more about your business. We'll get on a call just like this and screen share, and I'll go through your stuff and show you what you can do. And even if you don't decide to work with us, even if you decide to take the information I give you and do it yourself, that's great. At the end of the day, like my goal is to provide value to you no matter what you do. At the end of the call, if you decide to just let us do it for you, take care of it for you, and get that value, then you can move forward with us. We back up everything we do with a risk-free money-back guarantee. We don't do any contracts or anything like that with the gyms that we work with. We work with over 500 gyms. We haven't had to give a refund in 3 years, and we have too strong of a reputation. Our reputation is too important to us. Our word of mouth and the businesses that we work with is too important to us to make promises we cannot keep. So again, biglittlegyms.com. If you have any questions, be sure to fill out the forms on that site and let us know. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.